An Arkansas man survived shooting 2 police officers. You guessed it, he is white. According to local KHBS, Bill Jones, 35, allegedly shot 2 police officers after a standoff on Wednesday. Unlike the number of black men who've been shot at when police mistook cell phones for guns, Jones survived his tense standoff with police. Jones was arrested unharmed after barricading himself in his home. Jones began shooting after the officers arrived. This is vastly different from the police encounters with black men and women recently when they were shot for having a cell phone, toy gun, or just for running away. Hackett Police Chief Darrell Spells and Sebastian County Deputy Bill Cooper were identified as the 2 people shot by Jones in what NBC refers to as a possible ambush. Cooper was taken off life support Wednesday and is now dead. Spells was released from the hospital. We ask that you please pray for the officers and their families that were involved in this morning's shooting, posted the Sebastian County Sheriff's Office after the shooting. Police were responding to a domestic disturbance at the trailer where Jones lived at around 7:15 a.m. when he opened fire with a semi-automatic weapon. Jones was reportedly driven by his disdain for law enforcement. The call came into police that Jones had pulled a gun on his father after an argument. So the police officers knew that there was an angry man with a gun when they approached the scene. Officers eventually convinced Jones to come out of his home peacefully after a several hours-long standoff. 2 shot police officers and a shot and disabled bomb disposal robot that was sent to investigate around the trailer. Yearbook World also reports that a bomb squad was sent into Jones' home where 2 pounds of tannerite were found inside. It's great that police were able to take this man alive, but would he have been taken alive if he was black? Why are unarmed black kids getting gunned down by police when a white guy armed with an assault rifle is taken unharmed after shooting 2 officers, fatally wounding one of them with a shot to the neck? Article by Jeremiah Jones.
A heartbreaking day for local law enforcement and officers across the nation. 2 local law enforcement officers were shot today along with a canine officer. This longtime Sebastian County Sheriff's Deputy Bill Cooper died of his injuries this afternoon.
Also, Hackett Police Chief Darrell Spells also shot this morning. The Sebastian County Sheriff's Department says the bullet grazed the chief's forehead. He has already been released from the hospital. He is expected to be okay.
This is a tragedy for the Sebastian County Sheriff's Department, but we're all one big family.
That's Sebastian County Sheriff talking about the loss today of one of his men.
4029 has team coverage of this tragedy, one being felt here and all across the nation.
We start with 4029's Brett Raines. He's been out there live at the Sheriff's Department all day long.
Guys, the sheriff says Deputy Bill Cooper passed away this afternoon after he was shot in the neck. The sheriff says his deputy had no idea he was responding to a call that would cost him his life. And this is what Bill Cooper looks like. The sheriff says he served the people of Sebastian County for the past 15 years. He was also a former Fort Smith police officer and a Marine. The sheriff says Cooper paid the ultimate sacrifice to help keep our community safe.
Bill Cooper was dynamic. He loved his job. He could have retired years ago. He loved his community so much that he stayed on with the Sheriff's Department, serving and protecting. He loved the men and women that he worked with.
And I can tell you, after years of working with this department, Deputy Cooper always seemed to have a smile that would comfort and help people feel at ease. The sheriff says he's survived by his wife and their 3 sons. Live in Fort Smith, Brett Raines, 4029 News.
Brett, thanks so much.
We'll have more live team coverage ahead, but we want to show you just what the scene looked like on Highway 253 in Sebastian County just after it happened. Now you're looking at exclusive aerial video of the scene. The sheriff said at least 200 law enforcement officers from various agencies around the region, in fact around the state, showed up to assist and offer support. Roads around the site, as you see here, were closed down for hours. We learned this afternoon that Canine Officer Keena of the Greenwood Police Department, who also came to help, was shot today as well. Sheriff Hollenbeck says the dog disappeared into the chaos after taking a hit. At last word, they were still looking for her in that very rural wooded area around the standoff scene.
Yeah, and let's go ahead and take a look at it on a map of where this happened this morning. Officers surrounded suspect Billy Jones' house on Highway 253, that is in Sebastian County, just south of Hackett and Greenwood. Let's also talk about a timeline of how the events unfolded today. Deputies received a call about a domestic disturbance at a home, as we mentioned, between Hackett and Greenwood. That was at about 7 o'clock this morning. By 7:08, officers had arrived on the scene.
And then 7:16, shots were fired. Suspect Billy Jones barricaded himself inside a home with weapons and body armor on. And less than 30 minutes later, Hackett Police Chief Daryl Spells is hit, and Sheriff Hollenbeck, calling his wounds superficial, he was released from the hospital. But Deputy Bill Cooper was also shot during that time, and as we now know, he died a few hours later.
The standoff went on for 4 hours before Billy Jones surrendered to authorities just before noon today. The sheriff said that Jones had also fired on and disabled a police robot and was sporadically firing at gatherings of officers before giving up. Tonight, he is in the Crawford County Jail. And it was at 1:15 this afternoon we learned Deputy Bill Cooper was pronounced dead as a result from his injuries, where police say he had been shot in the neck.
We want to go now to 4029's Pedro Rivera.
He's been following this story for us since early this morning. He's joining us now live from the scene in Sebastian County with the very latest. Pedro?
Yeah, we're here on Highway 253, and you can see behind me we still have a police presence. Now, earlier today, it was reported that there were over 300 law enforcement personnel that made their way here to help, but as you can see now, a much smaller presence. Now, several vehicles have been taken away on tow trucks, including we saw a Hackett police vehicle with several bullet holes in the window. Now, I want to show you scene video here from earlier this morning. This is on Highway 253 and Boone Road. Police kept everyone back miles away from the scene. Helicopters in the sky, law enforcement agencies from all over the River Valley, and SWAT teams made their way here to search for the suspected shooter, Billy Jones. Now, law enforcement spent time searching for Jones, but later learned he was inside of his home after Jones opened fire on responding officers. Now, according to Sebastian County Sheriff Bill Hollenbeck, this all started when officers were responding to a call after it was reported Jones pulled a gun on his father. Now, when Deputy Cooper and Chief Spells, when they approached the home, Jones was standing there in a ballistic vest holding an assault rifle. Now, Jones fired at Cooper, striking him in the neck, and Spells was grazed in the head. Now, Spells suffered minor injuries, but Deputy Bill Cooper, he did die from his injuries. Now, after police took Jones into custody, police did find explosive devices inside of his home. Fort Smith Bomb Squad and other agencies were able to get inside, but we learned that something went off. We're only a few hundred feet away from that home, and we did hear an explosion and felt it ourselves. Our helicopter camera was able to catch some shots from the sky where there was smoke and a large hole right in front of the home. Now, Sergeant Daniel Grubbs with Fort Smith Police told me that officers were pinned down from gunfire from Jones, and police had to use a Fort Smith MRAP to block the officers from gunfire. It's a large military-style vehicle. Now, after shooting at a police robot, Jones eventually surrendered to police, and Jones is currently being held in the Crawford County Detention Center.
Everybody would, had to put their game faces on. This was a real-world incident. This was true acts of violence, and multiple agencies came together, and we did what we could. We act professionally. We got people out to safety, and now we're just, all prayers are going to him.
Now, bringing you back out here live, you're taking a look at the scene. We actually had the American Red Cross make their way here, as well as some helpful people from Greenwood giving out water to do whatever they can to help out. And this investigation into this deadly shooting is going to continue here on Highway 253. Live in Sebastian County, Pedro Rivera, 4029 News.
Pedro, thank you. According to Sebastian County Prosecutor Daniel Shu, Jones is facing 2 counts of battery in the first degree and possession of a firearm. Now, since Deputy Cooper has since passed away from his injuries, we do expect additional charges to be added to that list.